Hey guys, what's up? So today I have the deck profile of the Psychic deck that I used in the last showcase. Now this deck is a little different than most Psychic builds, or at least I think it is, because most Psychic builds, or at least the ones that I know of, are Psychic Gustos, Psychic Plants, and Grand Soil Psychics, obviously the last one being the most well-known, I guess. And what all those decks try to do, or at least, from my understanding, they try to control the field, and then once they do that through cards like Barkion and Beast, then they summon their big dude like Grand Soil or Quasar if you're playing the plant build, because I actually did summon Quasar in the plant build, and whatever Gustos feel like doing, I guess. So they do. This deck is a little different because this deck is aggressive and then controlling. Like I said, with the other decks, they're more controlling and then they become aggressive. This is more aggressive to control to more aggressive. It's more of like an aggro deck compared to the other ones. So it's interesting. Like this build was not my original build. My original build was a more like level 3 build. Like I did run Crane, I did run Dandelion, I ran Spore, Lone Fire, all that good stuff. It was more fun, I think, but this is just a more solid build. Now this is more of an Overdrive Teleporter deck because it is the main card of this build. The only problem with it is it does have a steep cost. Like you do have to pay the 2,000 life points regardless, and you do need to use Brain Research Lab if you really want the main combo to get off. And I guess I should probably start actually talking about the cards. So first off, we have 2 Overdrive Teleporters. Now, like I said, this is really like an Overdrive Teleporter deck. Like it revolves around him, and the reason I'm playing 2 as opposed to like 3 is because 3 is just too clogged. You don't really want to resolve this guy more than twice, really, and you get to use the same Overdrive Teleporter twice in one turn with the main combo of this deck, and that's really all you need. Like you only really need to see 1 copy. 3, I feel like you could just leave to dead hands. Like you won't have tribute fodder, you won't have enough life points to resolve more than 1 copy of this guy, and it's just iffy. 1, I just don't like because you don't see this guy early enough, and like I said, he is like the main part of this deck, so you need to have multiple copies. And again, I feel like 3 is too much, 1 is not enough, so 2 is just a nice fit for me. Next up, 2 Rise Belt Toonstar Master. The main purpose of this guy in the deck is to alter his own level, become a level 6, and from there, if you're going off with the main combo, well, I'll explain the combo later on. And also, if he becomes a level 6, he can go off with Krebins or any other level 2 and go into a level 8 Synchro, or he can become a level 5, go off with Psychic Commander, go into any level 8 Synchro, or whatever you need. He is actually very versatile. I personally, the one thing that I haven't gotten to do with him yet that I would have loved to, I almost did when I was playing against a friend, but it didn't really work out. Like, you can affect any monster. Like, you can change any monster's level. So, like, let's say your opponent is going for Quasar. They have a 5, and a 2 on the field, and you have, like, a set E-Telly, but I don't really know why you would set E-Telly in this deck, or, like, a set Call the Haunted and one of these guys in your graveyard. Just bring him back, and you can, like, mess with the levels, and I think that's cute. Like, I would love to do that to someone, but I haven't gotten to do that yet. So just keep that in mind. You can mess with your opponent's levels. I'm not sure if that means much, but the option is there. Next up, 2 Hutch Psychic Cleric. Again, another key part of the main combo of this deck. Hutch Psychic Cleric is a little slow. Like, if you get her effect off, which as you can see right there, whenever it's normal, forget that part. Once per turn, you can discard a card and then send 1 card you can discard 1 card, then you can banish 1 Psychic type monster from your graveyard, and then when this card leaves the field, you can special summon the Psychic, or you can special summon 1 Psychic type monster removed by this effect. So it is very good, but it can definitely, it is a little slow. Like with the decks out today, it is a little slow, and it is like, I have tried it out at 3, and if you get your pieces going, using this at 3 is a must. Like getting, resolving all 3 of them, if that makes any sense. Like getting 3 out to the field and getting to use each of their effects is stupid, because to actually get all their effects off, you're banishing everything, you're getting all the effects via things that get banished and come back, and you're just getting a huge advantage. But then there are also times where you don't resolve them at all, and they're just kind of sitting there. Like, they are 2100 walls, but they don't really do much on their own. They need some sort of interaction, and you can't always provide that with 3. Even at 2, it's kind of hard to do. But again, you do need at least 2 for this combo to work, which again I'll explain later, so that's why I run it at 2. I have run it at 3, and if you watch the showcase that I put out however long ago, I ran 3 in the final build against this Tellarknight player, and like that field was no joke if you saw that. Anyway, next up, 3 Serene Psychic Witch, the main psychic of psychic decks. Like, these 6 cards, these 3 monsters are, the key part of the main combo of this deck, but Serene Psychic Witch is just an amazing card for psychic builds in general. She is a floater, and you can basically banish any monster except for Overdrive Teleporter, and then it comes to your field during your standby phase, and it's just a nice way of getting monsters out onto your field, and it's just something that you should be running at 3. Like, it's an amazing card. Next up, 2 Esper Girls. I really like Esper Girl at 2. Some people decide to run her at 1. I don't really agree with that, but to each their own, and honestly, I'm not really a second player. I just wanted to play around with this deck, and I actually ended up with some decent replays. Anyway, when this card is banished, then when it's special summoned from the banish zone, you get to banish the top card of your deck, and then when this card leaves the field, add that card to your hand. Obviously, it combos well with Serene Psychic Witch and Hush Psychic Cleric because they banish cards, and then when certain things happen, the cards that were banished get summoned to the field. So obviously that's very nice. And she is an Earth Tuner, so you have access to Beast and Barkion, and those are obviously like the main synchros of this deck. Or really just to Beast, I guess. You don't really have, well, you don't have any. No, you do have Giant Rat, so yeah. She allows access to Barkion and Beast. Next up we have Psychic Commander, just a solid card, I think anyway. Most of the tuners in this deck you don't really want to draw. You want to be able to special summon them off of, certain effects, or, Overdrive Teleport or Emergency Teleport. But I don't really mind drawing Psychic Commander because it kind of becomes a 1900 beater in a sense. You can pay up to 500 life points, and whenever a Psychic monster battles, the monster battling against your Psychic monster loses however much life points you paid, or loses attack equal to however much life points you paid. So if your opponent summons like an 1800 beater and they don't read your card, because people on Dev Pro don't really like to read, and they just attack into this guy, pay 500, they lose their monster. Sure, you lose 500 life points, but it's not really the big deal. And also, him being a Earth monster, an Earth Tuner, you have access to Barkion and Beast, and like I said earlier, the main real guys of this extra deck. Next up, Trebons, just here for feels. Like, I figured, why not? It's not that hard to get off. And also, it can stall, which is nice, but you don't really need 2. I just ran with 2 because I just thought 2 would be nice, but I never really needed more than 1. So if you guys decide to pick this deck up, you can definitely drop this down to 1. Next up, 1 Psychic Jumper. He's basically the creature swap of this deck. It's really dirty because all of your monsters have relatively low attack, so just swap them out, and also they will get their effects. Like, let's say you have an Esper Girl that came back from being banished because she was banished by Serene Psychic Witch or Hush Psychic Cleric that just left the field. So you have an Esper Girl in the field, she'll banish a card, summon Psychic Jumper, give your opponent Esper Girl, take their bigger monster, because I mean it's not that hard to have a monster that has more than 500 attack, just ram into it, get your card back, and then yeah, like it's a solid card. I don't really think you should run more than 1 because you're going to be paying a crap ton of life points for a creature swap, which if you just want to run creature swap, I mean, I think creature swap is technically better because Psychic Jumper requires both monsters to be face up, but what are you going to do? Next up, 1 Dr. Cranium. I don't really know how I feel about this guy. I just saw that, you can pay 800 to search any Psychic type monster you want. I was like, oh, well, you have to be in the deck. I never really got his effect off, like maybe like 2 or 3 times in the entire testing process, I guess, of having this guy in the deck. I've only gotten him off like twice, 2 or 3 times. On paper, he's good, but I just never see him. Next up, Redox. The entire deck is Earth, so you can get a Monster Reborn effect fairly easily, and you can banish things to act as tribute material or tribute fodder for Overdrive Teleporter. And 2 Giant Rats. Again, the entire deck is Earth, and you can summon all of your Psychic monsters besides Krebins off the effect, so that's nice. Now moving on to spells, we have 3 Brain Research Lab. Again, the main field spell, or the main spell of the combo, which again I promise I'll talk about in a second. And honestly, I'll probably put like a timestamp somewhere that just says if you want to, like, you see the cards already. If you want to just go to like the explanation of certain things, go to the time and the timestamp, whatever. But yeah, this card, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like, it does allow you to get the it does allow you to get the additional normal summon. It does allow you to use psychic effects for, quote-unquote free, because, you just place a counter on this thing instead of paying the however many life points you need to activate the effect. So it's good in that aspect, but if this card ever leaves the field, you take damage, 1,000 for each counter on this card. And counters tend to build up because obviously you want to abuse the extra normal summon if you can. Obviously you're going to be using Overdrive Teleporter. And like here it says you need to pay 2,000. You don't like put 2 counters on this, you just put the 1 counter, which obviously is nice. But again, counters do, stack, and it's kind of iffy if it gets destroyed. I'm not, it's not exactly the best field spell in the world, but it is, necessary for, again, the combo to go off. So just keep that in mind. Like, it is very vulnerable to like MST or something like that. So you'll usually find yourself like finding ways to put protection on board. Like if this is on board and you don't have game, you'll usually find, or at least I personally did, I'll find myself like trying to make a Stardust or trying to make like a Beast to protect from like MST or something like that. So just keep that in mind. Next up, 1 Terraforming, obviously search this out. Next up, 3 E-Teles, Psychic deck, I don't really need to explain that. 2 MSTs, Book of Moon, like these cards, like these 3, 2 MSTs and Book of Moon are really in all my decks. Is it the best? That's up for debate, but I just like these cards. To me, they're stable. Other people might say, oh, you need 3 MST, or people now aren't even playing MST in the main deck, apparently. So, yeah. And then, obviously, Book of Moon is Book of Moon. Moving on to the traps, 2 Psychic Overload, just draw power. 1 Bottomless, 1 Torrential, 1 Solemn, 1 Compulse, because why not? 2 Fiendish Chain. I might drop these like in decks for like Breakthrough Skill or Skill Prisoner, just because I like Skill Prisoner, even though Breakthrough Skill is better 7 out of 10 times. So yeah, Fiendish Chain is just a decent card. Not much to say about it, just an effect negation. Then Call the Haunted, brings stuff back, allows you to go on with your combos, simple as that. And also can bring back Serene Psychic Witch or Giant Rat to get your searches off, which is nice. Moving on to the extra deck, 1 Beals, 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, 1 Scrap Dragon, 1 Stardust, 1 Black Rose, 1 Barkion, 1 Psyhemoth, 1 Armades, 1 Beast, 1 Catastor, 1 Samsara, 1 M7, 1 Strike Bouncer, 1 Soul Survey Mountain, and 1 Wind Up Zen Main. Not much to say about the extra deck, really, not much at all, so I'll just kind of skip that. I will talk about this card though, Samsara. It's an OCG card right now. I want to say it's coming out during Duelist Advent or Duelist Alliance, whatever it's called. It seems to be pretty good. Like, on paper it's a decent card, it's just that I usually find myself going for like Armades or Beast if I have, the option to go into a level 5 Synchro. So it is a good card. If you guys haven't seen this card, definitely check it out. But I just haven't really had a chance to make it in this deck, or I've had the chance, but I just never really see the purpose, see the reason of bringing this guy out as opposed to like Armades or Beast or something like that. Now into cards that I actually have tried in like some of the videos. Like, I know Trag was in the Mortronic duel, but yeah, there's Trag, Grand Soil, Crane, the 3rd copy of Hutch Psychic Cleric, which I guess I already talked about, Instant Fusion, Infusionist, and Mirror Force. I don't really know why Mirror Force is here, but yeah, it is. Trag just stops OTKs and can become any level that you need to go into your Synchros or XYZ, and also it acts as tribute fodder for Overdrive Teleporter. Grand Soil, most of the deck is Earth. Obviously, Grand Soil Psychics are a thing. If you want to incorporate Grand Soil into this build somehow, be my guest. If you want to build Grand Soil Psychics, be my guest. Crane was really good in like the level 3, kind of like 3-axis Psychics, I guess. I don't really know if I'll call it 3-axis though, so I won't. But yeah, like abusing things like Dandelion and Malaya of the trees, like the XYZ. It was actually really good, and it was fun for that deck. Just in this build, it didn't really have that much of a purpose, or at least I didn't see it anyway. Fusionist and Instant Fusion kind of just give you that extra level 3 Earth monster. So if you have like a Psychic Commander, you can go to Barkion. If you have an Espergo, you can go to Beast. Or if you have just like any level 3 Earth type, you can go into Soul of Silver Mountain or Wind Up Zen Mains, whatever. Then Mirror Force, I guess just attack, react to trap. I don't really know why it's here. So yeah, that's the deck itself. As for the combo that I kept referring to, it happened a lot in the showcase. It was really what the showcase was built around. I wasn't sure if it'd be well received because it's literally the same combo going again and again and again and again. So it's kind of iffy, and that is definitely what this deck is based around. And I'll just explain it quickly here, like what you need in your hand to start off. There will be a download description down the bottom. It'll basically be a download for a DevPro dual puzzle, and I'll give you, what will I give you? I'll give you, let's say, a E-Tele, Brain Research Lab, and Overdrive Teleporter, because I think that's more or less all you need. And then I'll just like give you the deck as is in the main deck, I guess. But I'll give you those 3, and basically what you would do is you would E-Tele into a tribute or a monster that can be tributed. So, you know, whatever you feel is, and I'll give you just 1 random card or 2 random cards because you will need it for Hush Psychic Cleric. But I'll use you'd use E-Tele to summon, like, let's say Esper-Girl, because Esper-Girl is the best in that scenario, I guess. Then you tribute her off, or you'd activate Brain Research Lab. You tribute her off to summon Overdrive Teleporter using your first normal summon. Use Overdrive Teleporter to summon out Rise Bell and Hush Psychic Cleric. Rise Bell will become a level 6, which allows you to go into M7. You use M7's effect to bounce back Overdrive Teleporter to your hand, because obviously you just used Overdrive Teleport, or you would detach Overdrive Teleporter and then just bounce it from the graveyard back to your hand. You would use Hush Psychic Cleric to send any random card from your hand to the graveyard, which would banish Esper-Girl. You would then tribute Hush Psychic Cleric for the Overdrive Teleporter you just bounce back to your hand. You would get Esper-Girl back onto the field, get her effect to banish a card. Then you would use Overdrive Teleporter again, and from there, it's really up to you as to what you would want to go into. For me, I usually end up in Ptolemy M7, a Barkion, and a Stardust if I'm the second to go and I'm actually able to attack, just because it doesn't really give my opponent that many options to, you know, counter, I guess. If I was going first and I just kind of wanted to lock my opponent out, it would be M7, Strike Bouncer, and Beast, because obviously they wouldn't be able to activate any spell cards. I can negate 1 monster effect, and I could bounce anything back, you know, during my turn, you know, during the next turn. So again, once you have the second Overdrive Teleporter summoned and you want to use his effect, it's really up to you and up to the situation as to what you want to go into. So like I might put screenshots as to like how I can personally end that turn. Like I'll do the puzzle myself and I'll like post screenshots as to how I found I can end, if that makes any sense. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of ways you can actually end with that combo, and that's what makes it actually kind of versatile. Like it's the same to start off, but how you end is usually different, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's the deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Probably rambled on for a while. I don't have the timer because I'm testing fraps, by the way. Like things have kind of cleared up for whatever reason, and I'm actually able to record audio and video now with fraps, so hopefully this is going through. If it doesn't, I will be somewhat upset. I think I've actually already mentioned this, but if I haven't, then here you guys go. I'm testing fraps, which is why things are a little weird. And also, one thing that I should mention is that the deck does revolve around Overdrive Teleporter, but it can work on its own. Just treat it like a regular Psychic deck. I know that I haven't really talked about Psychics, you know, as their own, but it's up to you to figure out like how you can kind of stall with your other cards to get to, you know, quote unquote the dream, you know, this card with this card, and then just be able to go from there. Because you're not always going to get Overdrive Teleporter and Brain Research Lab in your hand, and it's just, you know, it's just not realistic. You're not going to open that all the time. So you will need to get used to how Serene Psychic Witch works, how all these other cards works with one another, how they work with one another, not how they works with one another. And you'll just have to learn how to establish fields on your own. Like I know that's kind of not exactly the best advice I can give, but it is something that just, you know, you learn with practice. Like I said, there will be a tutorial / puzzle in the description that teaches you how to use this combo to its fullest. But to actually use this build to its fullest is just something you guys need to test on your own. Like, so hopefully you guys get around to, like, you know, quote unquote mastering this deck if you guys pick it up, and sorry about that. But yeah, I'm sure this is way too long already, so I'm just gonna end it here. I'll talk to you guys later. Later, guys.